I'm Lucas Eileen. I'm an artist and a lecturer in creative arts at the University of Wollongong. This semester I'm teaching a subject called Art, Nature and the Environment. It's an art history and theory subject. Normally we would teach it with book research and internet research into histories and theories of the way that artists have worked with environments and landscapes. Because of our partnership with the Candos School of Cultural Adaptation and through Laura Fisher's initiative, we were able to take the students out on this 4-day field trip out to the Capertee Valley, where they could learn firsthand through direct experience about regenerative agriculture and about artists working with landscape directly.
I'm Laura Fisher. I'm a member of the Candos School of Cultural Adaptation and I'm also an honorary research fellow at the University of Wollongong. Lucas and I brainstormed a lot about how we could mingle, I suppose, these activities in the landscape, these regenerative activities and healing activities on eroded land with tasks that the students would have to do anyway. We were able to bring together community members from the valley itself and some expert speakers. We had Peter Swain, who's a Wiradjuri elder in the valley, and also Peter Hazel from the Malone Institute.
I've really enjoyed the day working with the Land Studio students here today, and I feel like they've enjoyed their day as well. I really like to share what I know about the environment, the landscape, natural history of Australia. This surface that we're standing on has all been built in the last 10,000 years. As we go into this sort of climate change world, scientists are already saying we're post-Holocene. Modern civilization has been built on, this beautiful, comfortable climate of the Holocene over the last 10,000 years.
As their art students, we're sort of tapping into their innate curiosity and their creativity and showing that actually the landscape can be reshaped, that we can all have a stake in healing the land, and that when we work together we can actually do really transformative things.
One of the most interesting activities that we participated in was Leanne's weaving project, which is like an artistic collaborative project. She wanted to draw on the concept of a weir, so building around the contours of where the water flows to help the water stay and not just run through and erode the valley. As a textiles piece, it's really interesting because it's using the history of textiles, but now it's a modern version of that with people all coming together and discussing regenerative agriculture.
I think in general, art students are very interested and curious about environmental themes. We see them in art school coming up with projects that deal with climate change, sea level rise, the decline of whale populations and so on. But there's a general despair about how an artist might engage with those giant themes. What can a small artist do in order to do that?
So I'm Hailey Carter. I'm a student from the University of Wollongong practicing art. For my major work, I'm working with a lot of cotton. I'm making a macrame sculpture and thread. My goal is to work with clothes really and sculpture. I know that cotton has a huge impact on the world and on people. So it's nice to see things that make sense out here and have hope that I'm going to find something like that for my practice that's going to be okay for the world. Just knowing that little things like moving stones in a river can make a difference to water is super rewarding for me.
Lucas and I worked really closely with Kerry Cook, who's a member of the Capertee Valley community. We've done a major tree planting activity down in a waterway. We planted 100 trees.
There's a couple of stages along the way. I actually had a little tear in my eye because it's just so amazing working together to restore the landscape that is so damaged. I'm tearing up right now actually. It's so hopeful and it's kind of a bit of a dream actually. I think they're feeling pretty good about planting trees. They're not on the gadgets and they're just itching to get to the next job. I could put another tree planting in front of them and they'd stay to make sure that they got into the ground. They're just so eager to get amongst it and that's gold.
It's been fantastic to see the students getting out of the classroom. This semester, all their teaching's been happening on Zoom. The kind of things that you can learn in 3 days when you're here in the landscape compared to when you're on Zoom or in the classroom, it's just incredible.
Being out here in this camp is so hands-on. It's more educational. There's definitely an in-depth education when coming onto the actual environment. On Zoom, you don't get that experience. There's a deeper connection when you're there doing it yourself.
The environment, it's a holistic space. It's a shared space and it's a creative space. And it does fire the creative senses, and I think artists will see the landscape in really refreshing ways. They may be unskilled when it comes to this sort of work, but many of their other skills are probably going to shine through as they look at this landscape and interpret it in their own ways.
I feel like for a lot of people that haven't had any interest in agriculture or inland Australia, they can see what it's like to actually be out here and see the issues that are around here with erosion, drying up of dams and stuff like that. It's really good to actually get people to come out here and have a look at what's going on and how people are trying to change old traditions and make the environment kind of what it was before.
One of the most important things for the students was to camp on the land for 4 days. Here at Snow Goose Farm, the students were able to form a small temporary community, like a village with each other. So it was not only the engagement with environmental themes through being out here on the land, but also the socialisation that happens when you camp together. I think this will have an influence on them for years to come.
It's such a different experience that we definitely don't get in the city, so it was really nice and it was really inviting. There's so many things that we were able to do and able to kind of give back to the environment that we wouldn't have done if we didn't come here.